So, by the time I've edited this, it will probably have been around a week since DC FanDome, which admittedly is pretty much a year in internet time, but you know what? I'm a big old DC fanboy, in case that wasn't painfully evident, and I'm still riding the hype train pretty hard. So, with that said, I want to talk about the 4 big trailers/teasers that dropped over the weekend. Also, hi and welcome to my channel, I guess. So yeah, hello, and thank you for tuning in. I'll keep this introduction brief. Just know that my name's Ross, and I'm a decent fellow. Yeah, that's the handle I'm going with for now, shut up. Point being, I'm a bit of a comic book nut, particularly where DC are concerned, so when they announced they were doing a free live stream virtual convention showcasing their big announcements and upcoming projects, you can bet your ass I tuned in for that. Truthfully, I could spend like a good couple of hours talking about everything the event covered because there was a lot of great stuff. There was an introduction to Black Adam, hosted by The Rock himself. Really cool panel on Static Shock and the role of DC's black writers and artists. Some great hosts like Aisha Tyler and Will Arnett. But for the sake of brevity and a desire to not get lost in the obscure corners of the YouTube algorithm, I'm going to spend this video just talking about the 4 big movie panels and what I got out of them. So, without further ado, let's start with Wonder Woman 1984. The pre-trailer panel was pretty nice. Kristen Wiig kind of went full fangirl for Linda Carter, and my god, it was just the most wholesome thing. This year has certainly been a lot, and despite everything, that shit warmed my cold dead heart. That set the FanDome off to a nice start, and the new trailer, pretty nice too, if kind of more of the same. While the overall tone of this trailer was a little more serious than the first, it still ultimately boiled down to a healthy combination of slick action, a vibrant 80s aesthetic, Kristen Wiig Loki looking like Michelle Pfeiffer in Batman Returns, etc. I should probably comment on the major difference between this trailer and the first one. We finally got our first proper look at Cheetah, and oh good lord! Some painful cinematic memories. To be fair though, Cheetah's supposed to be kind of simultaneously goofy and horrifying, so I guess in this instance it works. Overall, I'm still excited for Wonder Woman 84. The setting's fun, the cast looks solid, the villains look more interesting than Ares was in the first one, so yeah, I'm all for it. Next we had James Gunn's The Suicide Squad, which, I gotta be honest, was maybe my most pleasant surprise of the entire event. I love James Gunn. The 2 Guardians movies are probably my favourite MCU films. Super is the superior Kick-Ass. Fight me. And it would be entirely untrue of me to say that I'm not always going to have a special place in my heart for the 2 OG live-action Scooby-Doo movies. Point being, I was cautiously optimistic about the new film, thanks to Gunn's involvement, but not much beyond that. After the FanDome panel though, hoo boy, different story. They started off finally announcing the full cast lineup, confirming the likes of Idris Elba as Bloodsport, Peter Capaldi as Thinker, and Sean Gunn as Weasel, all of which I'm very, very into. What really sold me on the film though was the panel discussion with Gunn and the full cast, which honestly just cemented the great chemistry these people are going to have. We got one of those half trailer, half featurette deals too, which along with this rad fan-made poster really clarified the tone the film's going for. Essentially, the Dirty Dozen by way of a comic book movie.
This is a gritty 1970s war movie combined with the brilliance of James Gunn's characters and comedy.
Which, yes please. My one and only reservation is that we still haven't found out who Taika Waititi is playing in the film. I did see one tweet wondering if he was going to be the voice of King Shark, which, if he does that and brings the same deadpan New Zealand energy he brought to Korg...
Piss off, Ghost! He's freaking gone.
This could genuinely be the greatest film ever made. Moving on, here's where I could potentially make a few enemies. The Snyder Cut. I don't want this to be misconstrued as an attack on Zack Snyder's character.
The man has been through a lot, and despite some needlessly petty tweets, he's by no means the worst.
But I'm not a fan of his filmmaking style. With that said, I'm not sure what I expected for the opening shot to the Snyder Cut trailer, but...
Now I've heard there was a secret chord.
Fair play, I think he out-Snydered himself just with that one shot.
The use of Leonard Cohen's Hallelujah is particularly
interesting. I will be honest, my initial reaction to it was a combination of unbridled eye-rolling
and some repressed Watchmen-related memories.
I do feel a little softer towards the song choice after finding out it apparently has some
personal resonance with Snyder in relation to the memory of his daughter. But taken purely on its own merit, I just found the trailer as a whole a bit of a sloppy mess. The way it's edited feels very loose and meandering to me, and the choppy cuts to black really kill the rhythm and momentum of the whole thing.
While I'm sure it's a very exciting piece to Snyder's fans, as I've established, I'm ambivalent to his films at best, so I was judging the trailer largely as a piece of promotional editing. And gotta be honest, in that respect, it didn't work for me. The big revelation, however, was that the Snyder Cut is going to be less of a movie and more of a 4-part miniseries. I'm clearly not the intended audience for a 4-hour Zack Snyder project, and God, I wish the online discourse surrounding it was less exhausting. But as I said, he's been through a lot.
And ultimately, I guess I'm glad he's getting to make the film he wanted to make.
Even if I have no desire to watch it myself. But enough about things I don't care about, and onto shit I absolutely do care about. Anyone who knows me well knows that I've been keeping an eye on news and development for Matt Reeves' The Batman for a while, and I'm telling you, when the trailer started and I saw this,
oh God! Oh, yes! Yes!
I've been rewatching a lot of the OG animated series recently.
And one of my favourite things about the show is the film noir nature of the storytelling and the aesthetic.
And if this trailer is anything to go by, then Matt Reeves' take on Batman is going to have that in spades.
I love how grounded the whole thing looks. Really, Batman himself is the only thing overtly comic booky in the trailer, which makes sense since Matt Reeves has said on a few occasions that the film takes place during Bruce's second year as Batman, and the more theatrical presences we're used to seeing in Gotham are just starting to emerge.
I'm into it, honestly, and as much as I do really enjoy Nolan's trilogy, it looks like Matt Reeves might have nailed the gritty, real-world take on Batman better than those 3 films ever did. Sadly though, with this added realism comes some unfortunate real-world parallels. I have seen an emerging subsection of Twitter making the argument that a billionaire vigilante helping the police in a city filled with social problems and generally being a bit of a violent fascist about things isn't a story that should be told in a minute. Which... I'm not going to act like some Batman stories don't have a level of fascist overtones, especially when Frank Miller's writing.
There have definitely been lesser Batman stories where he's portrayed as a right-wing, violent vigilante with no regard for due process. On the flip side though, there are other stories where he's the most compassionate guy in the room and often shows mercy to people who absolutely wouldn't do the same for him.
Or in one of my personal favourite ways to approach the character,
He will showcase violent, problematic, and fascist traits, but these come under scrutiny and ultimately contribute to a redemptive arc for him.
and from what Matt Reeves said about how he's approaching the film on the panel, I have a feeling we might be getting another look at the third category.
He alluded to exploring Bruce's past and the corruption that's set deep into Gotham City.
So when you consider that and see this understandably terrified reaction after an admittedly awesome Batman beatdown,
I'm vengeance.
I like to think the film's going to look at Bruce's journey from violent, vengeful vigilante to a symbol of hope and justice,
setting him up to tackle Gotham's corruption head-on in future films. I'm loving the tone and style of the film, I'm loving the cast. This could be my second favourite Batman movie. I don't see anything topping this beauty anytime soon, but nonetheless, I have high hopes. Genuine shout out to DC for setting up the FanDome. It made a lot of fans, including myself and the two mates I watched it whilst on video call with, very happy. And shout out to all of you who clicked on this and stayed with my ramblings till the end. I'm trying something new with the YouTube thing, and if enough people like it, I'll probably cover some more DC-centric content sometime soon. In the meantime, you are welcome to follow me on other platforms if you fancy. I'll link my Instagram, Twitter, and Letterboxd below. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed FanDome as much as I did, and yeah, hope to see you back here soon.